We also have here Deputy Incident Commander Charles Sherrill and the Miami-Dade Police Department Director Freddie Ramirez to also answer questions. We'll begin the questions and answer session. Sir?
Chief, so sorry for all of you, but today, a third of the victims have been found in the last 24 hours. I can't imagine what the teams are going through. Obviously, the families speaks for itself, but the pace in finding the bodies, how are your teams doing? How are they holding up?
Well, it's devastating for all of us. You know, all our hearts are sorrow. We're here. You know, we know what our goal was all along, and we'll continue moving forward to try to locate everyone's loved ones in closure. So our spirits will continue moving forward to do the job that we need to do.
Ma'am, over here in the corner.
So the question in regards to the voids. So in regards to the voids, the way that they're created when there's a collapse, it's typically a wall or a floor collapses and the version of the collapse. So if a wall were to fall and land on another wall, it would create somewhat of a void or a pocket space that equals a triangle, a large triangle. Floors that collapse in the middle create somewhat of a W with two large voids. Where pancake collapses, unfortunately, is a floor or a wall on top of a floor, on top of a floor, on top of a floor. And I understand in regards to the individual that you're mentioning, and if there's anybody that knows the family, it's me. 14 days of it. One of the things that we made sure and we reinforced day in and day out is the information, which is unprecedented. And again, it's the support of the men and women that you see behind you, or behind me, my apologies. We showed them pictures, up-to-date pictures, videos. We brought them to the site early into the incident, so when they had a hard time understanding or comprehending, they saw the floors on the north side, where we had 4 floors, and the separation between the 4 floors was a total of 3 feet. Now remember, each floor, each space is about 10 feet between the ceiling and a floor. And here they basically saw 4 floors on top of each other with a void of basically a couple of feet. 14 days of looking for voids, that's what we've been doing. Initially it was looking for victims, that were trapped, and then it kind of shifted to, God, give us at least a large enough void to find a victim. And, we just couldn't. And today, after, really harping on the staircase on the east side and the voids, what we believe where the building collapsed on the east-west side, there was no voids. I mean, it was unprecedented in regards to the lack of void for survivability. And I'm sure many of you saw the video of how the building came down. I mean, it's just the sheer shock, the stress, and the weight of that building.
How do you get a question?
What triggers the change from search and rescue to this recovery? Because you have been saying you will be search and rescue until the last victim was found.
Yes. So the question is what's the...
So you have been saying the search and rescue mission will be until the last victim is found.
Right.
So what's the change?
All right, so let me make some corrections. The search and rescue was specifically for live victims to be found. And today, we just, after all the facts, all the factors, we've decided, based on everything that's been given to us, that there are no live victims. So what we've done now is transfer to a search and recovery. And the search and recovery is now shifted to finding every victim in that pile. So that's the difference between the search and rescue and the search and recovery.
Sir, Fisher.
What is happening to the?
What is what?
What is happening to the non-identifiable human remaining? And what are you doing to ensure that everything in that rubble pile is? Then how did you get started?
All right. So yeah, I'm going to defer that to the Miami-Dade Police Department director.
Thank you. Our homicide detectives, our crime scene investigators have been from day one working hand in hand with our fire rescue personnel and our medical examiner's office. Our clergy, our rabbis, everybody's been in there. Every bit of our family members count and matter. And we take every effort, every possible means to ensure that we recover family members and return them to their families. That's what we're doing. We will continue to do in the recovery phase. Nothing's going to change. The same hard-working, dedicated people will be there until everyone's returned to their loved ones.
Where are the trucks and rubble going? Where are they going?
They're going to our evidence collection site. With our partners in NIST and our homicide detectives, our engineers that are on the scene, they're tagging relevant information, data, evidence, collating it and transporting it to a site for later analysis as we move forward. Right now, our primary focus is to recover family members.
Thank you, sir.
What is the reaction from families?
So the reactions of the families. I'm not going to go into too much detail because obviously it's personal. But I can assure you the one thing is it wasn't a surprise in regards to everything that we've provided them since day one. And again, it's just the amount of video, pictures, information twice a day. Each session ranges between 2 to 3 hours. Questions and answers. Let's just say that there's definitely grief, but wasn't a surprise.
Over here, sir, followed by the Miami-Dade.
Now that you are going to be in recovery mode, what does that mean as far as the pace of the work that you're doing? Are you going to be bringing in more machinery, for example, to scoop up more of the debris? I mean, how is that going to change the operations?
Right. So in regards to the recovery itself, as the Madam Mayor had mentioned, nothing really changes in regards to that aspect. So the pace remains the same. Night and day operations. The personnel are remaining, and we may be shifting them out for relief because, as you see it on their face, you see it on their uniform, you see it in the way that they come off the pile. They're mentally exhausted. They're emotionally exhausted, just as all of us. But in regards to that, the pace continues. The resources remain, but we may just alter the personnel, alter the types of trucks. But
Can you be more aggressive now?
Well, again, in terms of aggressiveness, we've maintained aggressiveness up to a level of not damaging the body. Because at this point, we are transferring over to a recovery. So initially, our concern was accidentally killing a victim, where in this case, we don't want to damage a body. Of course, we want to, locate the bodies in whole and provide closure to the family.
Sorry.
Over here in black.
With these issues.
Over here in black.
Okay.
About the families, were they able to visit today? Were they able to visit the site today?
No, the ones that visited today were the survivors, not the families, the victims of the families.
And what was their reaction?
So these are people who've lost all their belongings, their work, their work materials, their personal keepsakes, their investment, and of course they've been trying to understand how they can recover those losses. They went there for closure, just like the families, and what they realized is how fortunate they were to be alive, to have been rescued from that building.
So the gentleman back over here finished off the mission.
Question for Mayor Howard for anyone. What role happens and what is scheduled for memorial?
So people are starting to think and talk about that land. It's very premature to say exactly. But yes, I certainly hope that we can make a way to memorialize this tragedy.
The question is for the chief or assistant chief. Now that you've been able to better assess the wreckage, we've heard that because of the collapse, how violent it was, there are a lot of first stories that are actually underground. How long will it take for you guys, how much longer to get to the bottom?
We don't have an exact time frame established. We'll develop plans and our strategies and continue moving forward. We do feel we're several weeks in regards to this operation, but we're going to continue doing, everything we can to find everyone's loved one.
We get one Spanish question.
Bueno, en realidad en cuanto a cuestión de operación, la diferencia es mínima. Tenemos todavía la misma maquinaria, los mismos recursos, la misma cantidad de personal disponible trabajando aquí. Lo que vamos a ver es en cuestión a la maquinaria, al personal que van a seguir trabajando las 24 horas al día. No vamos a estar buscando personas vivas, utilizando los perros que están buscando las personas vivas, ni tampoco estos equipos de sonido que hemos estado utilizando anteriormente para tratar de escuchar voces o ruidos o sonidos que estén haciendo posibles víctimas que estén atrapadas. En realidad lo que queremos que entiendan las personas es que en este momento, aunque se ha cambiado a esta fase, todos esos recursos siguen en pie y siguen aquí para trabajar en la misión de ahora recuperar estas personas para entregarlas a sus familiares.
I've been giving you okay for one more. Last
Yes,
one.
in Spanish, please. Probablemente lo manejaron antes, no lo tengo claro. Con esta decisión, ¿cuál es el número final de víctimas producto de este colapso?
Ahora estamos en 54 víctimas. Tenemos las víctimas que no hemos encontrado. Mientras que seguimos en este proceso, los números van a cambiar. Pero por ahora no te puedo decir exacto cuánto es el total. Los detectives de lo que se dice los missing persons están trabajando para lo que no hemos encontrado. Y los detectives de homicidio, el Medical Examiner's Office, todo el mundo estamos trabajando juntos, recuperando víctimas, y mientras que movemos en este proceso, los números van a cambiar. Pero no puedo decir que es el total todavía, lo que te puedo decir es lo que tenemos ahora.
Dentro de esos 54 casos,
Sí.
¿está el caso de la señora que sacaron con vida y falleció después o no? Porque
Sí.
es un dato que está...
Sí, el que falleció en el hospital es también en ese número del 54.
Está dentro del 54.
Sí.